away.
Hey, see, I'm from Dallas, Texas, the home of them boys. You already know just what I'm ripping. A bunch of ice and blue and white, that's how we really step. See, I come from the D where we got shags and we be flexing. If you ain't from my state, then you should know, don't mess with Texas. Hey, I already know this team connected. You know that we go crazy when the ball in our possession. That's right, when we unite, it only go in.
What's going on, Cowboys Nation? This is your one and only, often imitated, never duplicated Cowboylorian right here coming at you. Trying to talk some Cowboys with you. You know, lot of things been going on recently, with the Dallas Cowboys. Shockingly, we actually signed a player. We got a running back. Don't know much about him. I just know his last name's Freeman, so we'll see what happens with him. I'll have to do some more research with him. But hopefully he makes the team. We did something similar last year when we signed a player from the Buccaneers. He didn't even make the team. Of course, there was some issues with that as well. So who knows what's going on with the Cowboys? Even Dak's little media session he had today, he even said that the lack thereof of free agency moves, he's not trying to worry about that or put too much thought into it. He's just trying to worry about getting ready for next season and the players that are in the building. You know that he's frustrated. I'm sure everybody in that locker room is frustrated about what is going on with ownership. Who knows what to say about, Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones with the Cowboys this year. The all in supposed what they say, we know that ain't true. They always say they're holding back money. They're trying to get involved with, trying to get players. They always spend to the cap. No, the only reason we always spend to the cap is because we're restructuring every contract we have. There are problems when you're not doing anything to actually help this team. When are you going to actually help this team get better? And especially during the middle of the season when we're lacking in the area, it shows obviously we're lacking, and we're not doing anything about it to make sure that hole gets plugged up. Nothing is changing. We are really, really struggling. Every time we always have high expectation, Cowboys Nation. This probably is not one of those years where we're gonna have high expectations based on what we've done this off season. We do got the draft coming up, so hopefully Thursday we get a good player. The picking at number 24. We've gotten Des Bryant at 24, so you can't say good players are not available at that draft pick, but you just never know what's going to fall to you at 24. So much can actually happen. CD Lamb was actually supposed to be gone by the time Cal drafted at 17 or 18. He was still there. So, weird things can happen in the draft. So much changes very, very quickly. So we'll actually see what actually happens. Let's take a look. Alex James, how you doing? Appreciate the love from Raiders Nation. Cowboys Grim Reaper. You doing a draft watch along? I probably will not. I haven't even decided I'm going to go to the Cowboys watch party or not. So we'll see what happens during the draft. CW Schwartz, you can say all you want. You are actually contributing to Cowboys Nation just by hopping on and even just typing words. So, you can say all you want. We still here. You're not getting rid of us. So you know, enjoy being part of Cowboys Nation because the more a hater you are, just the more you show that you actually like the Cowboys in the end. I'm actually a tackle. I'm not too worried about. I think Asim Richards, who we drafted last year, will actually do fine. Grim Reaper. Um, you know, a center is actually something we could use. With Bass and I forgot the other guy's name, but that maybe they could do it. But I think if we draft a center, that'd go a long way. Junior, how you doing, bro? Appreciate you hopping on. Exactly. Haters grow the brand. With the amount of haters that there is for Cowboys Nation, you're the reason why we're so popular. You're the reason why we get talked about so much, and you're the reason why we are who we are is because y'all worry more about what we're doing and what we're talking about than what your own team is doing. Sophia's boyfriend, go Steelers. Hey, you guys have made some rules. Hopefully they'll work out for you. Um, Drafting linemen in the first round. For offensive linemen, yes. Defensive linemen, not so much. We haven't hit on as many defensive linemen in the first round. Lord Ravens, son. I'm guessing you're a Ravens fan. Y'all should have made it last year. I'll say that. Ravens should have made the Super Bowl last year. I'm not sure exactly what happened. Craziness happened in those championship games. Mozzie's got to do something. You know, I don't know if I heard Mozzie was told he was at 320 or 330 when we drafted him. He was told to get to 285 because he looked tiny as hell. So if he gets back to 330 and is dominant like we expected him to be this past year, then okay. But from what I saw from Mozzie Smith this past season, I don't know. I'm The jury's still out on Mozzie Smith for me. The he just did not show what we drafted him for. I feel like we drafted another Taco Charlton, and I hate to make that comparison, but that seems like what we did. Well, hopefully that mistake gets corrected because having our defensive linemen slim was not helping us. And I don't know. I know DQ likes certain type of defense, but you got to have some beefed up boys in that center because they were getting pushed around. And I hate any defensive coordinator who just wants a defensive tackle to stand up and not move upfield because that is how you get pushed around and moved around. If you are a defensive tackle, you need to be pushing that offensive lineman backwards into the running back, into the quarterback. That is your job. That is what you're supposed to do. And if you're not doing that, if you're being told to stand up, guess what? You're being moved out of the way very easily, and that's where those running lanes come in. Cowboys are going to Super Bowl? No, I will never say that, and that will never come out of my mouth. Now, if we get to January and that actually becomes a reality, then yes, it was. I will say it. I will blast it at the top of my lungs. But until that actually happens, no, I will never say Cowboys are going to the Super Bowl every single year. This is our year. None of that because so many things can go wrong in a season. So many things can happen that it just has not happened for us. So us as Cowboys Nation, yes, it's good to have high hopes. It's good to have expectations, but for us to scream it every year or shout it out or tweet it or whatever, we gotta kind of put a little hold on that until we actually start doing it. Grim Reap, yeah, we do need a good draft, but we need some veterans on this team. Not players that we've drafted. We need outside players that have actually been successful on this team to guide these young players. Even Jimmy did the same thing when we had the youngest team in the NFL to win the Super Bowl back in '92. Yeah, we had some young a lot of young players, but you had a Charles Haley who been in the league for a while. You had Tuane, you had Nate Newton, you had um who else was there that helped out a lot? Yeah, James Washington. We had some veterans on that team that helped us and helped those young guys learn and get better. Without that on the team, you are not going to succeed. You cannot win just on draft picks. No, it wasn't. The free agent market may not have been as good, but there are free agents that can make a difference and fill some holes that we actually have, like linebacker. We need some linebackers. Hey, Texas Chewy. Royce Freeman, I do not have an opinion on him. I never watched him. I don't know a whole lot about him. We'll see what happens because there's no guarantee he's even on the team or on the field for us come week one. So I'll have to see what happens during training camp and in the preseason to see if he's actually going to be worth even having around because you never know what's going to happen with the draft and what we can sign moving forward. Yeah, Eric Kendricks is definitely going to help the defense, especially the linebacking core, get used to Zim's way of defense. So that was a good pickup. So, but we do need more than just one linebacker. Overshown, we got to make sure he stays healthy throughout because we definitely could have used him last year, but we need him to be healthy. John, if you're gonna actually talk about the Cowboys, just call them by the Cowboys, because otherwise I ain't gonna pay attention to you. Blake, to answer your question, and I do agree with Reaper on this. There is not a person that can actually replace Dak's production during the regular season, but they need a coach or they need somebody on that team to make sure they smack the heck out of Dak to make sure he's in the right mind when he steps on that field for those games that are meaningful. Because we cannot afford him to not be playing the way he should be from the get go. And that goes for every game in all actuality. He needs to be playing at the top and highest level he can play every single game. Yes, you're going to have some bad plays. You're going to have, sometimes a slow start, but when it's way too often, and especially for specific games, that needs to end. Jesus, we don't care if it's not football season. It is football season. It's draft week. You don't understand that? Guess what? You ain't a football fan. If you ain't a football fan, then you don't understand. Football is all year long. Before, I cannot speak on Trey Lance because I have not seen him play hardly at all. he's got to have a chance to play. And anytime he's had that chance, he's gotten hurt. So, the jury's still out on Trey Lance and what he do. Maybe we can get him some packages to play or, see how he does in the preseason. But, I've seen him play a few preseason games and he's got an arm. He's got a live arm. He can make some plays. He can play, but he's just got to stay away from being injured. So it's hard to say what Trey Lance is capable of moving forward because we don't know. You never got to see what he got to do with, Ayuk and um I can't remember his name now. And he's a beast player. Number 19 for the Niners. One it can be a mixture of no one really runs a traditional 3-4 or 4-3 defense anymore. It's more of a 5-2 or, hybrid 3-4, but no one really runs a traditional defense anymore. Thank you, Reaper, Samuel, Debo. Exactly, D4. He could have an incredible season if he gets the chance to play a full season. We never know. Deadpool Raiders. You know what? If y'all want Dak and you want to give us some good draft capital, y'all can have him. I'm not a big proponent of Dak. He's a great person. Don't get me wrong. I have nothing bad to say about him as a person, but as a player, he does has his some big flaws that show up every single time they rear its naked head. So, you want to give us some good draft capital for Dak, like 3 first rounds? I know that's asking way too much, but you want to give us some draft capital for him? Take him, Cordy. I have no idea. Being in the back half of the draft, you have to see what falls to you at that point. Like unless you're in that top 15, top 10, it's kind of easy to know what players you're going to get. But when you're 20 below 16, even around the 20s, you just don't know what's going to be available. That player you're expecting to get and fall to you, might get drafted at number 10 or number 8 for some odd reason because a team decided to fool everybody and pick a player way earlier than projected. So you just don't know. I can never project where a player is going to go or who the Cowboys will draft for that matter because I would said, we would never drafted Travis Frederick at number 32. We would have never drafted Tyler Smith. These guys were not on the big radar or even Van Der Esch. I don't remember hearing a word about Van Der Esch being drafted in the first round. So, you know, Cowboys with some weird things in the draft. We'll just see what happens. That's a very big possibility, but who knows, Cordy? We'll see. Draft day just brings a lot of surprises. We'll never know what's gonna happen. That first year Reaper for Van Der Esch, it was very surprising. I wasn't expecting that out of Van Der Esch. Boise State's actually been a really good pool of players for the Cowboys over the years. We've grabbed DeMarcus Lawrence, we've grabbed Scandrick, we've grabbed Tyrone Crawford, um, LVE. I mean, the list goes on with as many Boise State players that we've drafted over the years. So, you know, he did make some surprises that rookie year, but after that, I know we dealt with a crappy defensive coordinator in 2020 that basically ruined the defense and ruined the career of LVE and Jalen Smith as a whole. So, it kind of sucked not being able to see them get into DQ's defense and really flourish. But, you know, it's kind of a joke of what happened. Jesse, I will say this: Texans are good on paper. Any team can look good on paper. Cowboys look good on paper every single season, but unless you prove it on the field and produce, what you do as signing free agents, getting good draft picks, it means jack unless you actually can prove it on the field. If you don't have the continuity on the field, if you don't have that cohesion, it don't matter what happens. You are going to lose games. You are not going to get to where you want to be. Look at the Eagles. They freaking signed, I don't know how many good draft picks, Michael Vick, Vince Young, and all these other players, and they ended up last in the entire NFC East that year. They were calling themselves Dream Team, and they didn't do jack that year. So it don't matter what you look like on paper. You have to produce. CJ Stroud had a great season last year. So did the whole Texans team. But it took them a while to get going. They were kind of garbage for the beginning half of the season. Then they came on late. So, yes, they did have a good year at the end of the year. But here's the thing: they surprised people. Nobody knew what the Texans were going to bring. Nobody knew what CJ Stroud was going to do. Nobody knew what the offensive coordinator was going to do. Nobody knew what the head coach was going to bring to that team and organization. This year, they ain't sneaking up on people. Teams are going to be ready for the Texans. They will see. They are going to know what they're going to do, and they're going to attack them. We will see what they do. Yes, they got Stephon Diggs, he's a great player, but will he and CJ Stroud mesh? Will Stephon Diggs get the ball? Because he does have other receivers to contend with that the Texans already had on their team from last season. We will see. And you can't say they're the best team in Texas because they haven't accomplished anything. You have to accomplish something in order to say you're the best team in a state. Ravens nonstop. No, I won't say we're going to the Super Bowl because I will never. That won't come out of my mouth. It won't happen. Also, I forgot to mention, if you are watching and you are, you know, chatting with me, make sure you go hit that follow. Make sure you hit that subscribe on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. The more support I get, the better off we can be and make this even better and bigger. Let me talk about this. So many people get on the Cowboys about first round exits. Guess what? Who cares when you get knocked out of the playoffs? whether it's the first round, second round, or third round, or even the Super Bowl, irregardless, if you don't win the Super Bowl, it don't matter what round you made it to, you're still a loser. If you're not holding up the Lombardi trophy at the end of the year, every single team, no matter what you accomplished during the season, you lost. You didn't accomplish anything. Now, if you've been at the bottom of the league and you made the playoffs like the Texans did, yeah, you can celebrate what you just accomplished, but guess what? You still didn't win the Super Bowl. You still haven't accomplished anything as an organization. You have to win a Super Bowl at the end of the year for anything to matter. It don't matter if you have the league MVP. It don't matter if you have the offensive player of the year, the defensive player of the year, whatever award they got. It don't matter unless you are holding that trophy at the end of the year. And if you win the first round, guess what? Your expectations just go up. If you win the second round, they go up again. But guess what? With more expectations becomes means that you lose that next round. Guess what? You just let you let your fans down even harder because you built up a little bit more expectation of getting to the divisional round, getting to the NFC Championship or AFC Championship. Then if you make the championship game, then you have the expectation of, oh, let's go to the Super Bowl. We can get there. We can get there. If you don't get there, then it's a letdown. You're just building up more letdown the further you go in the playoffs. But either way, you still lost in the playoffs no matter when you made it to. St. J. Rivera, the Chiefs have already been in Texas. They've already been in Dallas once before. If you don't know this, they actually used to be known as the Dallas Texans. So it won't happen. The Chiefs won't compete against the Cowboys in Dallas. They'll lose a lot of their fan base in all actuality coming to Dallas because they're going to have to be known as the Dallas Chiefs or they're going to have to change their name entirely because Kansas City probably won't let go of the Chiefs name. So who knows? We'll see. It's not set in stone. The Chiefs are in Kansas City until 2030. That is when their lease is up in Kansas City. Mason, I actually made my helmet. Takes a lot of work and a lot of time. DBs, I don't know why you're talking about your whiners for because y'all lost the last three Super Bowls you've been a part of. Not much room to talk, boss. And participation trophies are not handed out. And by the way, beating us in week 5 don't matter either because that still didn't win y'all a Super Bowl. The Giants own us? Have you ever watched football? Giants can't even beat us. DBs, I just said what I said. It don't matter if you made it to the Super Bowl. Y'all lost. There's no points for second place. You're not remembered for being in the Super Bowl. You're only remembered if you won. Y'all are 0-3 since '94. Getting there don't mean nothing. You have to win. Otherwise, you haven't won since 94. You want to say, well, you haven't won since 96? Well, guess what? You ain't won since 94, 95. Eric 7, it's actually Steve Young since they haven't won. Luke, make sure you have your story straight and actually your facts before you actually open your mouth. Fryer, yes, sir. Cowboys for life, sir. The Niners haven't won the Super Bowl since the 94-95 season. Cowboys haven't won the Super Bowl since 95-96. Luke, say what you want about Dak. Guess what? I don't care. How many quarterbacks they said would never win a Super Bowl? Stafford? Uh, Kurt Warner? They even said Tom Brady would never win a Super Bowl because he was a 6th-round pick and a nobody. Look what happened. Sometimes it takes players a lot longer to get to the promised land than others. So you can never say never, but what I've seen out of Dak, I don't, I'd have to agree with you to a point, but guess what? You can never say never. Luke, yeah, it didn't take Brady very long, but guess what? If Bledsoe hadn't gotten hurt, you would never know who in the heck Tom Brady was. 37, I don't know how you can say Cowboys will never make it out of the first round with Jerry there. Hello, we've won 3 Super Bowls with Jerry there. So, yeah, that is true, Luke. But here's the thing: Bledsoe had to get hurt in order for Brady to play. Brady would have never played had Bledsoe not got hurt. How many players can you say are Brady? Just like you can say, how many players are Joe Montana? I would even put Brady in the Montana category because one, Montana never lost a Super Bowl, and two, he was never part of any controversy when it came to Super Bowl wins. Right on time. Always got the Eagles fans to come on. Can't go anywhere without an Eagles fan hopping on. Luke, you're talking like the playoffs are next week. Hello, we're in April. Nothing is decided in April. You know how many injuries can happen between now and training camp for a lot of teams? You know how many free agents can get cut that just signed with teams? You opening your mouth like you know so much, but yet guess what? Nobody knows anything about how the team performs. How many teams did you expect to be great going into a season and they ended up being the bottom of the league? Who's your team, Luke? If you really think the Eagles are actually going to do anything with Kellen Moore, then you actually need to go get a CAT scan and have your brain examined because Kellen Moore, guess what? He doesn't run the football. Who did y'all sign? Oh, that's right, Saquon Barkley. But guess what? Saquon gets hurt. Kellen Moore doesn't like to run the football. Jalen Hurts likes to do the tush push. Kellen Moore doesn't like to do hardly any of that stuff. So good luck with that. ARTB 14. Lions are good. I'm not going to say that they're not good at all. You know, they had a good year last year. They got to repeat. Goff has got to have 2 good years in a row. He didn't even do that with the Rams. So, you know, hopefully y'all are able to repeat and things go well this year. You guys have done some good things as far as free agency goes. So, we'll see. It's a wait and see for all the teams that made the playoffs because some have gotten better, some have gotten worse. Who knows what's going to happen? But again, nothing's decided right now. We have to wait till September when the games start and see how teams play and then see how things go throughout the season. Things change. Who knows what is going to happen? Hold on, I just saw something hilarious. Thing keeps moving so I can read it. Philly Pros, if you actually think the Eagles can actually beat the Cowboys 42-0, you are outside your mind. We whooped y'all in the second meeting. It wasn't even a game. First game, you guys got a lot of help because y'all should have never even won that game either. And I don't know how you guys got better when y'all lost 6 of your last 7 and got blown out by teams that were garbage. And then thinking you got better because you guys got Kellen Moore. Kellen Moore is worse than your previous OC. I don't know how y'all think you got better, especially offensively. You actually got worse, in my opinion. Again, just because you sign players doesn't mean it's gonna work. Who's y'all's defensive coordinator? Are they actually gonna put a good defensive scheme together? Who knows? Y'all could get walked all over just like y'all did last year. So what? We didn't sign anybody. Do you realize that we didn't lose any really big contributors last year from last season? The players that we've lost were all role players. If you think we are dying because we lost Pollard, give me a break. Pollard wasn't a starter from the begin with. We lost one player from our O line that was actually worth the dang, and that was Tyron Smith. But guess what? We have Tyler Smith to slide right out to left tackle, just like he did 2 years ago when he dominated at left tackle. Van Der Esch wasn't that big of a deal. He was hurt. He's always hurt. He was a good player, but he was hurt. Pat, guess what? You can say the Cowboys haven't done nothing in 29 years, but guess what? How long did it take the Eagles to win a Super Bowl? Don't worry, I'll wait. Oh, that's right. 57 years before they could ever win one Super Bowl. No, not 52, 57. The last NFL championship was 1960. 57, talk about 29. Serge, you can say I'm still living in the 90s. Guess what? You're still living 6 years ago because you won one championship. Congratulations. You moved out of the Arizona Cardinals category to the New Orleans Saints category of one. And the Miami Dolphins, one. You really think that is a big, big deal? No, it's not. The Philadelphia Eagles are last in the NFC East in Super Bowl wins. The Commanders have three. You haven't even caught up to the Commanders and you're talking. Again, the NFL AFL merger was 1960. Hello, 57 years. Do your math. I know it's hard for Eagles fans to do math, but learn how to do your math. Grim Reaper, exactly. Chiefs are the only team besides the Patriots with bragging rights. It's just hard for Eagles fans to do anything, so congratulations. Luke, if you're not paying attention to what I've said, I've never said it's the Cowboys' year, anytime, any year. So learn. Y'all think it's more your year than anybody else because you think by beating the Cowboys, similar to the Niners fans, you think beating the Cowboys makes the season a success. Because the whole thing is beating Dallas. If you don't beat Dallas, guess what? The season was a loss. And I like watching the Eagles implode like last year when they couldn't even win against a shitty Giants team. And then they had to go against Tampa and lose to a shitty quarterback named Mayfield. Exactly my point. Did you not just hear what I said, Lou? It don't matter what you guys do. You guys could lose every game, but as long as you beat Dallas once, even though we could have blown you out 100 points to 0, if you beat us once by 1 point, your season is a success. That's how crummy y'all are. Tell them, Tank, because it ain't even close. But Eagles fans, they have to think they're better than everybody, even though they haven't really accomplished anything. Giants didn't just beat the Eagles; they whooped the Eagles. Wasn't it like 35-0 at the end of the first quarter? Wow, one Super Bowl, such an accomplishment. I just cannot believe that the Eagles think that one Super Bowl win is just that big of an accomplishment, and they will never do it again. Similar to the Rams. Who else? Oh yeah, New Orleans Saints. One Super Bowl isn't a big deal. Look at who you're looking up at. Look at all the ass you're looking up at because that's all you all look at. Cyber Warrior, I agree with you. Not even close. And the funny part is that I don't even have to say a word about the Eagles, the Niners, as I don't even have to talk about them. But guess who's the first two team fans that jump on and start talking? It's so hilarious how you pay attention more to about what we're doing than your own team. We could care less about what the Eagles and Niners are doing in the off season. We could actually care less about them during the season. But y'all pay attention to us with the freaking microscope because we matter more to you and we're on your minds more than you are on ours. Really? You call BS? Well, guess what? What are you doing right now? I'm talking about the Cowboys. I'm talking about what we haven't done and what we're doing in the draft. But guess what? What are you doing? Oh yeah, guess what? You're talking about the Eagles and you're talking about how we're trash. That shows that you're more worried about us than worrying about your own team. Any hater who actually talks about the Cowboys is a closet Cowboys fan because they pay more attention to the Cowboys than their own team. Then why are you on here? Luke, if you're an Eagles fan, why are you on the Cowboy show? I'm waiting. I could care less about what Skip Bayless says. Skip Bayless does not even know his head from his you know what. And he's been around Cowboys in the NFL for how long? But yet he can swap on a player so easily. And he says he's a Cowboys fan. He'll turn on a Cowboys player so quick, it's not even funny. I could care less what Skip Bayless has to say. Same with Stephen A. What makes y'all so pissed off about Cowboys fans is that we're more loyal than you guys are. We show up to the stadium and pack it out even when we're having a crappy season. Guess what? In 2020, when nobody was allowed, guess who was in the stadium? 20 to 30,000 fans every game for a COVID game. I didn't see any other fans in there. I saw Cowboys fans. 2015, Cowboys were what, 4-12? The stadium was still full. 2015 Niners fans, I didn't even see them even a quarter of the way full. Cardinal fans leave the stadium after the first 5 plays of the game. Okay, you can say Cowboys are the most overrated team. Guess what? You're the one saying it. DML, if the Giants are better, Giants haven't beat Dallas to save their lives. Especially with you having Daniel Jones, it ain't gonna happen. Luke, I'm at every game, boss. Every single home game, I'm there. Because guess what? Unlike probably you, I root for my team highs and lows. Something you probably can't even say. Giants fans can talk all they want. Guess what? They still haven't really beat us in the last 8 years. What, they beat us 2, 3 times? Majority of the time is with Dak not even playing. Okay, Luke, here's the test. You're a diehard Eagles fan, right? When was the first year they went to the Super Bowl without using Google? Who was your starting quarterback in the 90s that actually played for the Cowboys? 2005? Well, there you go. You ain't a diehard, buddy, because the first time y'all went was in 1980. And I bet you can't even name the coach that was even the coach of your team at that point. Wow, Luke, you're born in '82. Congratulations. Guess what? If you're a die-hard fan, you know everything about your team. You have to use Google to get that one, didn't you, Luke? Ruben, you can't be America's team if you haven't won anything. You have to accomplish something to be America's team, which, guess what? Cowboys just accomplished more. Oh, does it hurt you that, we were given the name America's team? We didn't actually have to give ourselves that name. Does it hurt? Luke, I know more about your team than you actually know about your own. So you just need to kind of zip it because you're just gonna lose and going at me. No, that's the Eagles. Eagles know more about losing than the Cowboys. Hate to break it to you. Y'all are 1-4 in Super Bowls, and you want to talk about losing? I don't remember the Eagles actually ever being good until like the '90s when you actually got Andy Reid and Jim Johnson as your head coach and defensive coordinator. Nobody worried about the Eagles. Same with the Giants. Giants didn't get good until the '80s. In the 24 years, we have actually watched the Eagles lose 2 Super Bowls. And Glorious, you worried about what? Playoffs? Guess what? If your team hasn't won a Super Bowl, it don't matter. Eagles have watched on the couch more often than the Cowboys. Y'all have one good year and talk. Dude, I've already said you don't know even know half the amount of history of your team. Stay quiet. You're on the Cowboy show trying to talk about the Eagles, and the Eagles are the last thing I could really care about. Me and your actual super fan Birdman actually have laugh about this half the time. and how much some Eagles fans worry about Cowboys fans. Luke, you just proved that you don't know anything about your team without using Google. I asked you, when did you first go to the Super Bowl? You said 2005. Angaloris, if you're, I don't even know what team you actually cheer for, so I don't even need to respond to you. Eagles a threat to what? Beating us in the regular season? Guess what? Majority of the time in the NFC East, maybe this will be a lesson to you. It's going to be 50-50. More than likely, you're going to lose one, you're going to win one. It is not easy to sweep a team in the NFC East. But maybe if you paid attention to football and the history of the NFC East, you would know that. Hey, that one guy, guess what? We already had five. So it took the Moon a long time to get one, just like the Eagles. Luke, we've swept the Eagles I don't know how many times. Y'all finally started beating us one time a year. Congratulations. You guys still haven't swept us. Obviously, the Giants don't get swept all the time because they whoop the crap out of you in a game that you guys needed to win. To win the division, at that matter, to win the division, you guys couldn't even beat the Giants. With a third string quarterback, they whooped up on you. Who's your team? Bangaloris, who's your team? You're talking all this trash, but you can't even say who your team is. See, that's how much you actually know. Oh, Cowboys only win one time. We've swept y'all most of the years. The last 2-3 years is the only time we've actually had to split with the Eagles. When you guys had your wonderful Carson Wentz, we swept y'all like it was nothing. So we get to the Super Bowl and lose? You mean choke? Because I saw the Eagles choke, just like I saw the Niners choke the exact same way for two Super Bowls. And like I said, Luke, you don't get a participation trophy for going to the Super Bowl. There's no points for second place. Nobody remembers you if you lose a Super Bowl. You're not remembered. So what? Y'all won one in a 64 years, and you want to talk? Cowboys came into existence in 1960. Within 35 years, we'd already won five. Where have y'all been? We've been waiting the last 29 years for y'all to catch up, and y'all can't even win. You barely won one. So don't worry, I'll wait another 50 years before you win another. Appreciate it, that one guy. King Baldwin, who cares? Do you think one game really makes that big of a difference? Who freaking cares? Do you think I really care about that game? Or do you think I care about the week 5 game against the Niners? No. It meant nothing. Did the Packers win the Super Bowl? No. Did the Packers win the Super Bowl? No. So it don't matter. No, we don't live in the past. The problem is y'all want to bring up 29 years since we've done anything. That's bringing up past. So we got to remind you of what we've actually done compared to what your team has not done, which is only win one Super Bowl, and y'all want to talk like we haven't done anything before. Hate to break it to you, but 5 outweighs 1. Whether that's in the past or not, guess what? Stop talking about the last 29 years, and we'll start talking about the 5 Super Bowls. Ace Whoa 9. Hey man, awesome. Who was your dad? Oh man, that's awesome to have a parent play for in the NFL. That's not easy to do. I played college ball at Arizona State, so as a walk on, it's not easy to do. So, congrats to your dad, man. That's a good accomplishment. Go Cowboys, sir. All right, y'all. That's all the time I got for tonight. Appreciate y'all hopping on. If you haven't done it already, make sure you follow. Got some good content coming your way soon. Have a good night. And let's go, Cowboys. We'll see you during the draft week. Have a good night.